They come from all areas of the world: Iraq, Bhutan, Afghanistan, Somalia, Sudan. They have endured persecution, wars, torture, rape, and the loss of loved ones, each with their own incredible story of survival. They fled their country with nothing except what was on their backs, leaving behind houses, careers, fortunes, friends, and family. They languished in primitive refugee camps for years, or carved out a corner in an asylum country where they lived off their savings. They applied for refugee status in hopes of being granted a safe place to call home. Interviews, paperwork, background checks, a process that can take sometimes up to 30 years, and finally, approval, resettlement, a country that will offer refuge, their lives packed into a single bag, and a destination that holds hope. Tucson Refugee Ministry began in 2006 to connect Christians to the otherwise unknown population of refugees living here. Of the many refugees arriving in Arizona each year, Tucson settles almost 1,000. Of nearly 300 churches in our city, few members know the name of even a single refugee. Most refugees will live in Tucson for months, even years, without being invited into an American's home. Tucson Refugee Ministry invites churches to embrace one refugee family at a time, in community with other followers of Jesus, and in partnership with resettlement agencies and TRM. You can touch the lives of our new neighbors in 5 specific ways. One of the initial and most practical ways is to furnish an apartment. In partnership with the resettlement agency, a group helps to collect furniture, household items, food, and toiletries. They take an empty apartment and make it a home. A few lucky refugee families are embraced by church groups who are willing to come alongside them in practical, tangible ways. They have already helped furnish their apartment and are there to welcome them at the airport. Then, these new friends link arms with them to offer help with transportation, language, community orientation, and more. Deep relationships are formed. The family has the support they need, and the church group is often transformed as well. After resting from long days of travel, volunteers visit and deliver a Welcome to America basket to refugee families who don't have any American friends. Inside are everyday items collected by a group from a list prepared just for them. Then they invite their new friends to their home to share a meal and to offer their faithful friendship as the family struggles to build their new life in America. So much laughter and life occurs in these precious times together. There are few events more life-changing to a family than the birth of a child. New moms far away from their own extended families find comfort in the camaraderie of a group of women who embrace them and encourage them and walk alongside them as they prepare for their new family member. There are hundreds of new refugees arriving in Tucson every year, moving from far corners of the world right into our neighborhoods. Your church group or youth team could embrace a refugee community for a one-time event, or offer your friendship and presence to do international, cross-cultural ministry right here, long-term, without even getting a passport. Tucson Refugee Ministry exists to connect Christian churches in Tucson to the refugees arriving in our city each year. We educate and mobilize church groups to reach out to refugee families, and we are often overwhelmed with the physical and emotional needs that these communities represent. Our material needs continue as long as people are willing to welcome refugees. Our vision is that every refugee arriving in our city will experience and know the love of Jesus Christ through our tangible expressions of care for them. Bible study groups, Sunday school classes, men's and women's interest groups, and entire congregations have reached out to refugee families all over Tucson. They have made a significant difference in the adjustment and assimilation of refugee families to life in America. Volunteers' lives have been enriched and transformed by the relationships that have developed. Tucson Refugee Ministry is an international ministry that invites you to fulfill the Great Commission without even leaving the city. It is clear in the Scriptures that God takes an extraordinary interest in refugees and expects His people to do the same. It starts with us. The world's nations are literally at our doorstep.